Hi, this is Milton Shupe. Welcome back to Gmax 1.2 for the beginning modeler. This is video number 29, the topic of which is booms and tails, part 4 and the final part of this mini-series. What we're going to do here is clone the left boom and vertical tail we created in previous videos to the right side, and then fillet the horizontal tail up against the booms on either side to improve the aerodynamics. And then we will link the left boom to the left, or the right boom to the right wing, and re-smooth the horizontal tail after adding these fillets. And that wraps up the booms and tails part of the series. So with that, let's just take a look around here. Let's go to the top of the T key and zoom in with the E key. And first of all, let's just get rid of everything we don't need here. Hide selected. Well, let's try hiding unselected. How about that? Thank you. What is that? Oh, we'll hide selected on that one. Okay, in the previous videos we created the left boom, left tail, the rudder, and the trim tab, and we created the htail, but we didn't finish off filleting here, and we didn't clone this side to the other side. So that's what we're going to do in this video, just to show you how to wrap this thing up. And we're going to display subtree, and we're going to just delete all of that work there, get it out of the way to take us back to where we were in the previous video. Now we're going to region zoom here, and what I did to demonstrate what we're going to do is create these two fillets. Basically, that's what we want to accomplish today. So let's get rid of what I built. Ignore back facing off, so we got everything. And then let's get rid of what I built here. And that's kind of where we ended up in the last session. So before we can do these fillets, we want to clone the left boom and all this tail work back here, so we'll go ahead and do that. And there's a little process that you go through to do that, and we'll go up and select boom, the left boom and all of its parts. Where is the htail? We don't want that. VTail, htail. We don't want. Let's do this. Select invert. See how handy that is. So what we want to do is clone this. Before we do that, I'm so used to doing this by habit, so I have to stop and correct myself. I want to ensure before you do the clone that the pivot is centered to object, aligned to world, because we're going to use this as the way to move it to the right side. We want to make sure that the pivot is correct. So let's select the rest of the parts minus this one, and we can go ahead and clone that, or them. We'll name it boom right side. So we have the right side boom now selected, and what we're going to do is just mirror that, so you can, and it mirrors on the x-axis, so you can see it's now mirrored opposite of the left one. Okay, we can collapse that stack. Now let's select the left boom. It should be right here. Well, it's the right side boom now. And because this pivot is centered, let's just see where it is. it's not reading. Remember I told you sometimes you have to move it and undo the move to get it to read down here. Now when we move the boom, all of its subparts should move with it because they're parented to it, so they should follow it. So what we're going to do to move it to the right side is just take off the minus sign. The minus sign means left. Take off the minus sign to make it a plus. It means right, and it moves it to the right side. Okay. Now, when you have time, you would also go in and change these names to make this VTail right rudder, and everything else is okay. This should probably be changed to take that 01 and make it an underscore 01. Alright, so now we have the boom in place. We can commence with working on our fillet to bring us out to the boom on each side and finishing it off, shaping it and what have you. So let's just go ahead and do that. And you may remember the calibration box showed how this was to be shaped. You notice this curves kind of out. We won't do a lot of fancy work to curve it. We're just going to extrude and pull those vertices forward, and then we'll extrude from the back of this one back this way and kind of shape it the same way. And once we have that, it's done. So let's just hide that. We know what we need to do, and we need to zip around to the front here. Now, this had a face on it, but when I deleted that stuff, it removed it, so we'll just add it back. Let's see, I still got one hanging over here from when I deleted the other one, so let's just delete that bad boy off. And it should be the same on the other side, so we'll, yeah. Gotta watch this thing every minute. Okay, so now we're back to where we need to be. Alright, so we're going to see, I think we're going to have to try the border. Yeah, we've got a border there, so we can just cap it. And we'll zip around to the other side, and we'll cap that one. So we got stuff to work with now. Okay, so let's, while we're here, I guess we could go ahead and select that poly. We'll go over here and select this poly. Hold down the control key and click. Okay, so we have both polys selected. Now we're going to extrude those out to the booms. And when we do this, we need to go local so they extrude in opposite directions. Let's just get up here so you can see both of them moving. Just take it out to make contact there. That's be close enough to start our work. It's only going to take a few minutes, so not a big deal. So let's come in here and see what we need to do. Well, first of all, I suppose we can go to the top and kind of pull these forward 3 vertices. What is that? Why do we have that there? Let's see, when you run into something like this, investigate, of course. I may have a poly or something in there. I'm not sure. I'm not seeing that vertice now. Well, maybe that was, oh, I got the boom selected, no wonder. Duh. Oh, now I can see something in there. Go in and investigate. It looks like I've got the remnants of the old one here. Always something that causes a little frustration. So we'll delete that. And there's probably one on the other side. So we'll eat our crow and we'll make this see-through so we can detect it if there is one there. No, well, nothing like, well, Maybe it is. Let's look at it this way. No, I don't see one there. Okay, so I guess we're good to go now. Alright, back in business. Always something to woe you up. Alright, so we're going to select these three vertices in the front. Show you. There we are, three vertices in the front. And we're not going to be too fancy with this. It's something that you can barely see, and only if you're looking for it in the sim. So we're going to just pull this forward at an angle that we were looking at when the 3 view was up. And that takes care of that. Our position there is that would be the Y position, 6332. So we come over here and grab these three, and whoops, now I forgot the number. Late in the day, 6232 is what I want. 6232. Boom. So now I have these vertices identically pushed forward as these are. So with that part done, we'll move to the next step, and we're going to grab these polys here in the rear that were created when we did the extrude, and we're simply going to extrude those back here. You can do that on a group mode or local because they're going in the same direction. And these come back to about here. And then, well, actually we can push them a little bit further, I guess. Just pull them back here. Alright. And then we're going to go into vertex subobject mode. We're going to grab these two and these two. Let's hopefully we got 4. We've got 6. Why do we have 6? What am I grabbing that I'm not seeing here? I wonder if I have some more hidden objects in here. So let's grab this one too and put them all in see-through mode. There's 2 vertices. Alright. Just gotta be an investigative. No. This is probably a remnant of the open then. Okay, I see it now. Polygon. Yeah, there's something there. Of course, it's on the side I didn't choose to make see-through. Well, we got to get out in object mode. This one and this one. Sorry to slow you up here, folks, but I want to know what's going on with our. I think I see it there. I don't see it there. Just select all. Yeah, there it is. Some remnants of the old piece I had there. Alright, so we're going to try to select that. Let's make sure that's it is what we think it is. Yeah, it's not a part of that new piece there, that's for sure. Alright, so that's cleaned up. Boy, try to help out by doing this stuff ahead of time so I can show you what our target is, and I end up messing my own self up, but that's just the way it goes. What can I say? Okay, so that's about where we want it to be. So what I'm going to do is switch now back and select the outer 2 vertices on each side. Do the same thing we did in the front. Both selected. Yes, both sides are selected. Top and zoom, and we're going to pull those vertices out just to can't really go, can't get into the to the rudder there, so we have to be clear. Yeah, that's good. We're at the end of the boom, kind of, sort of, almost. The boom is kind of integrated here. So. Okay, because of that, we're going to take the insides and move them forward a little bit. Just came back too much initially. Alright, that gives you the idea anyhow. Alright, so that part's done. It's all attached. The only thing we need to do now is to re-smooth everything on the htail because some of this is unsmooth that we just created. So we'll select all the polys, clear the smoothing groups, do that, and then remember when we have shading groups that the bottoms are 2's and the tops are 1's, and where the two join, we want to just marry them so that it smooths up the shading. Gives you a good looking rounded surface without a hard shadow. Okay, so that part's done. And that kind of completes our objective for this video. Now that we have the right side boom, let's just select everything here, and let's get the everything back to solid material so we can see what we're doing. And I wanted, before we link this right boom to the right wing, I wanted just to make one other point we talked about in the last video when we were shaping these leading edges and doing the gaps, and we had talked about setting the pivot on the elevator, and there were, let's see, there were these hinge brackets that came back into the elevator. I wanted to show you an example of what one looks like. It's what I usually do on my projects. I didn't do it here, just just a matter of time. But let's pull up the other one here, and I'll come back to this picture. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. You can see it here. You can see it up on the horizontal tail, how those hinge brackets come into the rudder, and the hinge pin comes down vertically, and you can see it's well behind the edge here. So this actually rotates back here about 2 inches behind that hinge line, or behind the joint line here. Not so much so on trim tabs, but certainly on the major surfaces where you have major movement. So you have quite a bit of gap between here. You can remember I showed how we would pull back these leading edging vertices and then round off the front corner, and what that does for shading and give you a look of realism. So those are the points I wanted to make. Just give you a, let's see, I can't do that here now. Okay, so, and also if you look up on the flaps, can't see it as well in this picture on the ailerons, but you can see it on the flaps. You create your gaps, separate your parts here for the movement, so they're going to move free and they don't get iced over on the edges. So you just want to do those things that I've talked about on the leading edges, rounding them off, pulling that leading set of vertices back to give you a little shadowing, and see how the lighting hits that, and that gives you just more of a realistic look. Alright, so every so often when you're building a project like this, you need to take the time to do an export to highlight any errors that have been building up since you started construction. And when I first exported this, I had 2 errors, I think, that I had to fix. They were scaling errors, and you get messages to that effect. And then I had a couple of parts that didn't work, like I had misnamed the elevator to L-elevator instead of L underscore. Those little things, if you clean up as you go along, then and not wait till you get to the end of the project, and then you spend a day trying to fix all the problems. It's kind of frustrating. So what I intend to do in the next video is show you how to set up a starting aircraft folder in Flight Sim, and then show you the export process, and I'll show you how to get all that started and get it going so you can get your export done and get it tested out in the sim, see how it looks, and so forth. A lot of times you'll catch mirroring issues that you can't catch in Gmax and things like that. So that's a subject of either the next or a soon-to-be next video. Okay, that should give us a wrap, except we need to unhide all, and let's select all, and select and hide unselected to get that out of the way. And now we need to link this left boom to, or the right boom rather, to the wing, and that finishes up everything, I think, except for this. Yeah, everything's linked in the hierarchy to exterior, fuselage and exterior. I'm not sure if we've talked about that exterior dummy or not, but we'll do that when we talk about exporting to the sim. Okay, so that is where we are now. We're just about done with the exterior. We've got left to do is filleting these booms to the wings, and I'm going to show you how to do that just before we start building the main gear, and showing you how to do that and the animations associated with it. So upcoming, if you're interested, come on back, and if you have any comments, suggestions, post them below, and I appreciate you coming back, and I hope something here has been instructive. More and more we're using tools that we've already used, and you should be getting comfortable with them. Coming up on this animations, we'll get into some new concepts and techniques and so forth, so I think you'll get something out of them. And then once we get through this and get it in the sim on wheels and tires, animated and what have you, and I'll talk a lot about animation, especially contact points for your gear and so forth. So there's a lot of good and interesting stuff coming before we get in the cockpit and start building our virtual cockpit. All right, guys, have a good day, and come on back when you're ready. Thank you.